welcome everyone to Ephraim's weekly Parsha shir. I thank him again for being such a faithful Magid shir and willing to do this every week for us on Erev Shabbat. This week's She'ur is dedicated in memory of Milton and Miriam Saltzman, Aleim Shalom, by their children Jack and Annette Saltzman. We thank Jack and Annette, who are also in Israel at this time, and we wish that...
A place to be.
Yes, and we wish that the Saltzman's Neshamot continue to have an aliyah and that this learning will be a zchut for them. Without any further ado, I'm handing it now off to Ephraim.
Thank you. This week we are learning two parashot, Matot and Masei, and towards the end of Parashat Matot, we have a very interesting discussion about the request of Bnei Reuven and Bnei Gad about how to, that they asked for land to stay outside of Eretz Yisrael and on the east side of the Jordan River. So the pasuk says, "Umiknei rav." They had a lot of flack. Haya livnei Reuven v'livnei Gad atzum me'od. They really had a lot of it, and they saw the different lands on the eastern side of the Jordan River. It's a good place for their sheep and everything else they had. So they asked Moshe Rabbeinu without asking first, because I would like to say they were a little bit embarrassed. In other words, they sort of explained to Moshe how the land that they are in is such a great land, and it's a great place to walk with your sheep, and they have where to eat, and we have lots of it, Hopefully, Moshe Rabbeinu would understand by himself what that means. That's maybe what it means, the Parashat Sgura here in the middle. That the Torah has times where they have like a little dramatic pause, even if it doesn't specifically mean a new parasha, but it's a think about it for a second. And then Moshe, so to speak, does not understand the hint, and Bnei Reuven and Bnei Gad are forced to ask in Pasuk Hey, ויאמרו אם מצאנו חן בעיניך, יותן את הארץ הזאת לעבדיך לאחוזה, אל תעבירנו את הירדן. If you agree, please give us this land as our homeland. Do not pass us the Jordan River. And Moshe does not take this very well, to say the least. And actually, he goes out in a very long, strongly worded accusation of them. And he says, "V'ema Moshe livnei Gad v'livnei Reuven ha'achichem," will your brothers yavou lamilchama v'atem teshvu po? They will come to fight. They will come to war, and you'll just sit here behind. V'lama teni'un et levnei Yisrael? Why are you going to change or coerce the heart of Bnei Yisrael me'avor la'aretz from moving into Israel? Asher natan lehem Hashem. Hashem gave them their land, not this land. Now, of course, we remember that in Parashat Chukah, just a few parashot ago, the Torah describes how Bnei Yisrael went to war against Sichon and against the Emori. They were successful, and they conquered them relatively easy. But still, there was a war. But that obviously wasn't the point. The point there was that Moshe first offered peace and said to them, to Sichon and the Emori, that we want to be with them in peace, but they didn't. They said no, so then we went to war with them. But here, Moshe Rabbeinu is basically giving two very harsh accusations of Bnei Reuven and Bnei Gad. First is, you think you're going to just sit back and chill while everybody else is fighting in war, and two, you are like the Meraglim. How do I know that? Because this is what the example that he gives on Pasuk Chet. This is what your fathers did. When I sent them to go see the land, and they went, and they came back, and they said that to not come to the land, Hashem in Pasuk Yud, Hashem was mad at them, and he swore, and he said that if all these people who left Egypt, anyone who's 20 years and older, will not go in, besides Kalev and Yoshua, and Pasuk Yud Gimel, basically Moshe is giving a whole history lesson of why Bnei Yisrael are still stuck in the desert 40 years later, because the Meraglim said that they would not want to go in because, according to what Moshe Rabbeinu was trying to say, that they didn't want to be part of the land of Israel. And this is, I think, maybe the even more harsh. In Pasuk Yudaled, V'hine kamtem tachat avadichem. Here, now you come after your fathers, tarbut anashim chataim, a group of sinning people, to add more anger of Hashem to the Am Yisrael. Ki tishuvun me'acharav v'yasaf od lanicha b'midbar. What do you want? You want to go behind Moshe, Hakadosh Baruch Hu's back, so to speak, to let you stay here in the desert? V'shichatem lechol ha'am hazeh. You will make all of Am Yisrael be destructed in Eretz Yisrael, in the desert. They will have to stay in the desert and won't be allowed into Eretz Yisrael. And then, so you would assume that after such an accusation, after such a harsh and clearly worded, no way, I will not allow you this request, Bnei Reuven and Bnei Gad say, no, that's not what we meant. We will build, a home for our children and our fleck here, and obviously we will go to fight the war in Eretz Yisrael. We won't come back. We won't come back here until each one of them will go into their land. We will not be part of them on the west side of the river, of the Jordan valley and river, because we are going to be on the east side. So don't worry, we will go and we will fight, but we still want to stay on their eastern side. And then Moshe says, okay. If you do this, if you go in front of Hashem to war, and you will continue, then no problem. You will get this land. But if you don't do it, then you will be sinners in front of Hashem, and don't worry, Hashem will find you, so to speak, and he will take revenge for this sin. So if Moshe Rabbeinu was so against this idea, how is it that because Bnei Gad and Bnei Reuven say, no, of course we'll go to war, that he says, okay, fine, then you could get it. And then you could get it. Because he accuses them of at least 2, if not 3 or 4 different things. The first accusation is, how will you stay here and your brothers go to war? Okay, so that they answer. But what about being like the Meraglim? What about being like the Meraglim who say that they're afraid of Eretz Yisrael? What about not going into Eretz Yisrael the way Hashem commanded us to go into? That he's not taking care of. That is not being changed. So why is it that we're allowing this to happen? Why is it that Moshe Rabbeinu says, no, you're allowed to stay there? If what they're asking for is wrong, because they don't want to go into Eretz Yisrael, then nothing changed. Okay, yes, they're going into war. But otherwise, that didn't change. So the Netziv, the Ramban first, in source 2, the Ramban says that really Moshe Rabbeinu was suspicious of them for no reason, so to speak. Moshe was suspicious of them, that Bnei Reuven and Bnei Gad, the reason they really didn't want to go in was not because they were worried about their fleck. Moshe thought it was because they were afraid of the people living in Eretz Yisrael. The same way that the Meraglim said, "Lo nuchal lalot el am ki chazak hu mimenu." ולכן אמר להם שאינם בוטחים בהשם כאבותם. ויאסף עוד להנישם כהם להניחם במדבר. In other words, the reason they didn't want to go in is because they were afraid of the Canaanim living in Eretz Yisrael. And just like the Meraglim who thought that the Canaanim are going to be too hard to fight against, so they say, you know what, we want to stay behind, we don't trust Hashem to help us, and we don't trust, and they're too hard, they're going to be too strong, we won't be able to fix it, we won't be able to win the war, we're better off staying here behind, and that's it. And that's why Moshe tells them, listen, if you're like the Meraglim, then you're going to get punished like them as well. And that's why they answer them, no, it's not because we're afraid, we'll be first to war, we'll be chalutzim, we'll be the first one to do it. Not because of that, it's just a matter of money. Or just a matter of it's more convenient for us, it's easier for us, it's better for our business, etc. And that, so to speak, that Moshe Rabbeinu says, that's your problem, I don't have a problem with that, go ahead. at least you're coming to war. And that's why you could maybe say that the way Moshe answers, or the way Moshe changes his opinion, so to speak, after they see this is what they're going to do, so he's okay with it. Another explanation is from the Hayemek Davar, the Netziv. The Netziv assumes that Moshe Rabbeinu is accusing them of not trusting Hashem, not just being afraid of war, but a little bit of something else. It is a thought of the sin between them and God. Because he's afraid, because maybe the rest of Bnei Israel are going to say that it's not because of your flag, it's because of your business you want to stay here, but because you're afraid of the war with the Knaanim, the same way that the same way that the Ramban says. Or the second option here that the Netziv says, או שאין אתם חפצים בהשגחת השם, שהיא חזקה בארץ ישראל. You don't want to go into Eretz Israel because it's too hard to live in Israel. Why? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu's presence is much stronger in Eretz Israel, and it's too much for us. כמו שביארנו בפרשת שלח, בתשובת יהושע וכלב, ושעל כן יקרא התורה, תורת אלוקי הארץ. And that's why the Torah is called the Torah of the land, or the Torah of the God of the land, even though the Torah was given in Chutz La'aretz and in Midbar Sinai, because really the Hashem's presence is much stronger in Eretz Yisrael. Like we know the pasuk in Parashat Ekev that says, "Enei Hashem Elokecha ba," that Hashem's eyes, so to speak, are in Eretz Yisrael all the time. Tamid, "Enei Hashem Elokecha ba merashit hashana v'ad achrit shana." Hashem's eyes, so to speak, are always on focus on Eretz Yisrael. The Hashgacha Pratit, and the general Hashgacha of Hashem is much stronger here in Eretz Yisrael than anywhere else. And the accusation of Moshe towards them is that that's what they're afraid of. They don't want to be a part of a land that you always have to be on focus. You're always going to be under the spotlight. No, thank you. I'd rather be behind the scenes where Hashem isn't always looking. It's easier for me. According to this accusation, it's unclear to me why Moshe Rabbeinu changes his approach. Why Moshe Rabbeinu, so to speak, lets them off the hook and say, okay, you could say that. According to the Ramban, that said it was just afraid of the war, and once they prove, no, we're not afraid of war, we're willing to fight with them, then fine. But if it's according to this, if it's according to the fact that they are really afraid of Hashem's presence, they don't want any of that, then that's not being taken care of. Unless maybe, according to the Rambam here in the next source, in source 4, the Rambam describes that haporesh midachei tzibur, one that goes against, that goes away from the way the public is acting. Ve'af al pi shelo avar averot, he didn't do anything wrong. Ela nivdal me'adat Yisrael, he just puts himself aside. He said, I'm not part of this. Ve'no aseh mitzvot bichal, he doesn't do the mitzvot with them. He does the mitzvot privately. He doesn't do mitzvot as part of the tzibur, as part of the public, as part of the community. Velo nichas b'tzaratan, he's not part of their trouble. Velo mitaneh b'tanitam, he doesn't fast, and their fasts, not our fasts, but the original fasts that were for when it doesn't rain and stuff like that. Ela olech b'darko ke'echad migoyei haaretz, he's like one of a random person that's living in this world. Again, he's doing all the mitzvot, he's doing everything he's supposed to do, but I don't want to be called part of the Bnei Israel. I don't want to be part of this public. He doesn't have part in Olam Haba. So according to this, it is maybe, if we go back again to what Moshe Rabbeinu accuses them, if it's to the part of not being part of Bnei Israel because they don't want to fight the war, that Moshe Rabbeinu says, that I will not forgive you, I won't allow it, there's nothing to talk about, period. And that when they say, no, we'll do that, okay, fine. So then Moshe Rabbeinu says, okay, the second problem, so to speak, of being part of the Meraglim, of not wanting to be part of Eretz Yisrael, of not understanding that the presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in Eretz Yisrael is a blessing, not something to be afraid of, that if we would quote the Rambam in a different place in Hilchot Shuvah is, Bchira Chofshit, your free will, you don't want to be a part of that, that's your problem. I personally think it's a bad thing. We don't see that Moshe Rabbeinu says, oh, I'm sorry that I accused you incorrectly. He just says, okay, fine, you could get what you want. If you will go into the war, then you could get the land that you're asking for. Not that he's saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, I went full blast in accusing you of all these harsh things." He doesn't say that. He just says, "I'm willing to give you what you're asking for if you do all those things. If you make sure that you fight, you're part of the war. If you're not a poresh midachei tzibur, then fine. If you want to make your own mistakes, go ahead and make your own mistakes. But if it's a mistake that I won't forgive, I can't forgive because then that means you're not part of the olam haba. That I won't be willing to give in because that is a too harsh of an accusation that I won't be willing as your leader to allow you to do." Another maybe explanation is what we see here in the Midrash. The Midrash in Bamidbar Rabbah says in source 5 that umiknei rav haya livnei Reuven v'livnei Gad. Quotes our pasuk and he says halacha shalosh matanot nivreu ba'olam. 3 presents were created in this world. Zacha be'achat men natal chemdat kol ha'olam. If you got one of them, it's like you got it all. What are those 3? Chokhmah, zacha b'kol, gvura, bravery, intelligence, so to speak, and richness. When is that? Matai bezman shehen matnot shamayim uvaot bekoach haTorah. If you understand that they are a present from God and they come with the strength of the Torah. But if it's something that is only according to basar vadam, if it's just based on what basar vadam could give you or not, that will not last, period. And the Midrash brings 3 examples of the 3 things. How Achitophel was very smart and Bil'am was very smart, but both did not last because they didn't understand that their brains, so to speak, came from Hashem. And there were 2 very courageous people, Shimshon and Goliath, and both of them also did not live to stay to last, so to speak, past their years. And also the wealth of Korach and Haman also goes down the drain, so to speak, because nothing is left over, because they didn't understand that their wealth came from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The same thing here, the Midrash says, happens with Bnei Reuven and Bnei Gad. They asked to stay on the other side of the Jordan because of their wealth. They didn't understand that their wealth came from Hashem. Therefore, when the Galut came, they were the first ones to get Galut. They were the first ones in Beit Rishon that were expelled, went on exile, and never came back until today because they didn't understand that their wealth came from Hashem as well. But again, though this Midrash is very clear about what Bnei Reuven and Bnei Gad, what they asked for was wrong to ask for, and definitely not wrong reasons, and with not understanding that Hashem is the one who's really providing for them, still, that is something that Moshe Rabbeinu was willing to accept. He didn't agree with them, obviously, but he's willing to accept the fact that they were doing this sin, that they were making this wronging, and that's their problem. And maybe the last proof of this idea is the idea of why don't we give Tumot and Masot from fruits that are grown me'ever le'Arden, on the east side of the Jordan. It's a very interesting discussion, which maybe we could discuss also this week's Parsha, but also in Parshat Lech Lecha. There are 2 different borders that are sets of borders that the Torah gives us of the borders of Eretz Yisrael. In Parashat Lech Lecha, the Torah describes the land that Avraham Avinu will get from Mi'aprat and the Chidekel until the Nilus, and Ad Eretz Mitzrayim. From basically in modern day terms, from Syria, Turkey, Iran, Iraq, half of Saudi Arabia, all of Jordan, parts of Egypt, and obviously our land. That is a very big part of the country, part of the land, much, 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 much bigger than what we have today or what we've ever had. And Bikurim and Trumot and Masot are only from the western part of of the Jordan, and it's even smaller than that because in the north it's only up to Haifa, so to speak, and in the south um, it's only up to Beersheba, give or take in modern terms. Definitely not the land that we see today. It's not even what is described in our parsha. Towards the in the middle of Parshat Masei, when that we will read tomorrow. Also, there's a description of the different um, borders of the land that will be divided between the tribes for each one of them with the part of land that they will get. But again, just to quote here the Yerushalmi here in source 6, you don't bring bikurim me'ever le'Yarden, you don't bring bikurim from over the Jordan. She'ina eretz zavat chalav udvash. It's not as good of a land. Why not? Are the grapes smaller that grow in Jordan than they grow in the Bik'ah, 100 yards away from each other? I'm not an expert, but I doubt it. But the way the Yerushalmi explains it is because Tani Ashanatatani, we say in the Bikurim that we bring these Bikurim from the land that Hashem gave us. Lo shenatati li metzri. But now what did I took? The Eretz Israel that is on the western side of the Jordan, that Hashem gave us specifically, directly. And the east side of Jordan, Hashem did not give it to us directly, rather we took it, as what Bnei Reuven and Bnei Gad did. And that is, again, as a continuation of the Midrash, the point that, yes, even though Avraham Avinu was promised the entire land, many explanations why that never happened. Maybe it's to all of the generations of Abraham. In other words, the sons of Ishmael, and that we see they did get that, and the sons of Keturah, and many other descendants of Abraham who live in these lands until today. So maybe that's an explanation of why the promise was fulfilled to the children of Abraham, but not only to Bnei Israel. But to the point here that we're saying here, the fact that Bnei Israel, that Bnei Reuven and Bnei Gad take the land and don't get the land. In other words, they want something that Hashem did not promise, or that Hashem did not give it to us directly. That is something that they are at fault for. But again, Moshe Rabbeinu was willing to give in, so to speak, because all of those things are part. That's something that, as part of the transfer between the leadership of Moshe before the sin of Mei Merivah and after, once he understood that the leadership can't be just on a level of miracles, and he has to let the people make their own decisions. So if it was a decision that he was willing to live with, so to speak, you don't want to be zochet to get the land of Eretz Israel where Hashem is present, where Hashem is giving it to us, where it's Hashem's wealth. That's your problem. Your loss. But if it's something that is against the Ben Adam Lamakot, the Chavero, of not even being part of Bnei Israel in large, not being part of the war, not being part of the different things that Bnei Israel are fighting for them to be able to live in peace and quiet in Eretz Israel, that Moshe Rabbeinu was not willing to give up. That Moshe Rabbeinu was not willing to forgive them. And that he said, if you don't do that, you're not going to get it. Once he said they were willing to do that, Moshe Rabbeinu allows them to do it. And again, they got, so to speak, their punishment in the future. They were the first one to be exiled. They were the first ones. They did not have a strong connection with the rest of Bnei Israel. They did not have a chance present within them. But that was their decision, and that was their loss. But at least they were part of the war of Bnei Israel, which in order for them to receive their land, they did that. Moshe Rabbeinu said, okay, that's the most important part, because otherwise you're poresh v'tachei tzibur. And that is why Moshe Rabbeinu, so to speak, gives in to them, but because he was willing to forgive them with their sins against HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but not against Bnei Israel. Maybe nowadays as well, during the 3 weeks, when we remind ourselves that the Galut is not just because of of our connection between us and the Kadosh Baruch Hu, which we spoke about last week. But it's also a very big part of it is the connection between us, all of Bnei Yisrael, and how we have to make sure that relationship between all of us stays strong and united, and how we are willing to stand up one for another. That has to stay, and as long as that stays, hopefully we will be zoche to get back to the connection also with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you very much.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you very much, Ephraim.